Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today we're going to be cooperating together in order to defend the castle from all sorts of baddies in Last Bastion. Last Bastion here is a reworking, reimplementation, and re-theme of Ghost Stories, a game that came out about 10 years ago. It was a very revolutionary, in my opinion, cooperative game that was also very punishing, but it had a cool theme, it had a lot going on in it, and it was very popular. You know, it had several expansions, did quite well. Well, the company, Repos Productions here, decided to re-implement the game, put a new theme on it, sort of go back to basics in a bit, and put this out. So this is still cooperative. It's still very much about working together to defend this central board, and it's still pretty challenging. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. I'm going to be mostly treating this review as though you have no idea what Ghost Stories is, haven't played it, all of that, and then I'll talk a little bit about that at the very end of my thoughts after the overview. Here we go. Here we're going to be taking a look at a game already in progress. We have our 4 heroes. They've already been going at it. The board is randomly set up with these 9 tiles. Everyone has one of these boards in front of them that assigns them a color. And then everyone also happens to have a special, a character that gives them their unique power. So this player over here, playing this character, is going to have a spot for their hearts, for their life, some tokens, and then a special ability right there that everyone has a unique special ability at the table. So we're going to go ahead and take that player's turn now and show you what the round looks like. But basically the players are trying to get to one main baddie in the deck. This depends on the setup, but I'm playing normal mode here, so a single baddie, a few cards from the bottom, and there it is. That's the card back for it. If they defeat that baddie before the deck is completely gone, they are going to win. All the players collectively are going to win. You are going to lose if a couple of different things happen, but mainly if 3 of these places out here have these Grasp of Evil tokens placed on them like so. If you get to 3 of them out here on the board, you are going to lose. If the players are all down for the count also, you're going to lose. A couple of different things. So this player is going to take their turn. The first thing you do is deal with any of these creatures that are on your player board. The creatures have, at most, 3 symbols across the bottom, such as this one here. They have the first symbol. That means when they come into play, they do something. They have one that happens every time the player activates their board, which we're going to deal with right now, and one that happens when someone vanquishes this evil. So that one is the first one that happens. So this player is going to, they have to roll the die, this bad die, and deal with the consequences. So they'll go ahead and roll that. And this one says they draw another one of these evil monsters. So they would draw one and put it into play. It's this one here. That one is going to, it's a black colored card, which means the player who drew it takes it. Otherwise, if it was, say, a green card, it would go on the green player's board. So they're going to put that into play. The power come into play effect means that we put a Grasp of Evil token on the card. And then, so they've dealt with that one. Now they need to deal with this one. If there was no Grasp of Evil on this card, as it shows there in the center, we would put one on it. If there is already one on there, it simply moves into play and covers up a location. That's bad. That's what we're trying to avoid. And then this player is going to, so once they've done all this bad stuff, they are going to then check this area right here if they have a filled board. If so, if they do not, first of all, they're going to draw a card and add it to play, a bad card. If they do, then something inconvenient happens to them. In this case, the blue board's power here is that player loses their movement. They're going to lay down, and then their movement is just standing up, whereas normally they would get a movement, okay? So we're going to say this player is going to lie down. That's what happened there, and they don't draw one because their board is filled. And now they are going to do some good things, ideally. So every player on their turn is going to move and take an action in either order. You can do either one of those things. Move is very simple. You just take your piece and you move somewhere adjacent. Diagonal is fine. And then taking an action means either fighting the baddies or using the special ability of the tile that you are on. All right. So this player's special ability, as listed on their board right here, is that they get an extra move, or they can move someone else once, which is good for them because seeing as how they just had to waste an action, their move action, they can just stand up and still take their move. So they're going to stand up, they're going to move themselves over here, and then they're going to take an action. Again, they can either do this power, unless it's covered by a Grasp of Evil token, or they can attack. When you attack, you're attacking something facing you. So if they're standing here, they can attack that card. If they're standing in a corner, they can attack that card and that card at the same time. And they're going to be rolling dice to do so. So they're going to take the 3 dice, and they're going to roll those. They are looking for the colors that match the strengths on those characters. This is a bad roll. They got yellow, yellow, and black. Neither one of these match those. But let's say instead they got 1 green and they got a 1 blue. All right, just for the sake of our example. The 1 blue, they can assign over here to this character and eliminate them and remove them from play. If they had a stone over here, which means when they leave play they do something, the player would deal with that. The single green is not enough. That needs 2, so that one would have to stay put. It would have to stay in play. So that's what they're doing. And then once they've done that, it'll be the next player's turn, and they have to deal with their board, possibly bring a new baddie into play, and then move, take an action, or take an action, then move. That's pretty much it. And again, you're trying to kill that one main baddie or several main baddies, depending on the difficulty. So, the players, like I said, have special abilities, which could be covered up, but normally they have one, and then they have access to all of these places. So I'm going to explain what these things do. I'm going to show you just these 4 characters out here. There are more in the base game, and then you'll have a pretty good idea of how this game flows. So let's go ahead and remove our fighters from the board just for right now. Let's remove this Grasp of Evil from right here. And let me explain all of these locations, all right? We'll start down here. This one is a net. When you go here and grab this net, you can put it on any one character out here, and you will no longer have to deal with that symbol that you're covering up with the net. So if I cover up the center spot on this card, for example, with this net, that means I will no longer be rolling that die and taking the negative effect. Once this character goes away, then that will come back and we can use it again. This one over here lets you move a character and give them 1 heart. You don't want to, die in this game, but if you do, it's possible to bring you back. I'll show you in 1 second. This one over here lets you lose 1 heart and eliminate one of these baddies, just straight up. This one over here gives you any one of these colored tokens that I'll mention in 1 sec, or it lets you bring someone who's been eliminated back to the game, though they do lose their special ability. When someone is eliminated, this player loses all their hearts. You could bring them back, but they will be a little bit bloodied, and they will not have their special ability normally seen right there. As you can see on the back of this, it's gone. All right, so these tokens, what are they for? These colored tokens that you can get 1 there. Well, they help you boost up the fight. See, if we go back to our example with our character here, having had that fight and having that roll, if they had in their possession one of these green tokens, they could have used it in combination with that die to give them 2 green, eliminating that character. So that's what you can use these for. They could even, let's assume, not rolled, green at all. They could have used 2 green tokens to eliminate that character. So you can always supplement your die roll or dice roll with these tokens here. And in fact, if you're sharing a space with someone else, you can use their tokens in combination with yours. So there it is. All right, so that's that spot. This one here lets you move 2 of these characters around from one location to another to make some strategic moves. This one here lets you eliminate 2 of these Grasp of Evil tokens from anywhere they are. They could be on the central board, they could be on characters, and they can even be on special abilities for these heroes. As you can see, there's a little shape there, and it's possible for them to be covered up by these Grasp of Evil tokens, meaning you lose your special ability until this is removed from the game. So with that, you can remove 2 of them. This one over here gets you this mine cart filled with bombs. When you go there, you take it, you put it on your board, and any monster that would land on it explodes, is removed from the game, and then you can put that right back there. This one here lets you go there, you roll 2 of these dice, and you are going to take the matching tokens. So if I did that, I would get 1 red, and the white is wild. So I can take anything I want. So I might take, say, a blue for that one. That's what that is. And then this one over here weakens the characters, the baddies. Then you can put a banner there of whatever color you want and weaken those characters by 1. So again, going back to our example, if the banner that was hanging from there was green instead, because the players had put a green one there, I would have been able to kill this character with a single green. He's being weakened by 1. So that's how that works. Now, let's talk about the player characters, just, these that are out here. I've already explained him and his little dog, his little horsey there, Chestnut. This character down here, let's take a look at them. They have the ability to re-roll their attack dice once, and they have the ability to roll this bad die, re-roll it 1 time. And this has a single blank side, and the rest of the faces make you lose things like hearts, and those circular tokens, maybe bring on some more baddies, things like that. They can re-roll it 1 time, this player can. This character over here is going to roll an extra die. They have this gray die that they can add to the regular 3 white dice when they attack. They can roll all those. They also never suffer the penalties for characters leaving. When some of these leave, they give you a penalty. Like this one, for example, when defeated, you have to roll the black die. Well, if this is the player that defeats it, they don't have to do that. You still can take the good ones, though. You can still do the positive ones. And then finally, this character over here in front of me, they have the ability to do both the fighting and the location ability wherever they end up. So for example, if I end up right here, like so, I can both fight that character and take this and put it right there so I can blow somebody up later. So there you go. Now there's one more token on here that I haven't shown you yet, this call to arms tokens. When you use these, you can appeal for help at any one of these locations without being there. And in fact, it could even be covered up by one of these Grasp of Evil tokens. So if this is covered up, I can still do that, cash that in, your greatest weapon, to remove 2 of these Grasp of Evil tokens. So I could remove that one and that one from the game by doing so. So there you go. That's basically it. Hopefully that's a decent overview to give you an idea of how the game works. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, that is Last Bastion. Let's dig right into this one. All right, so here are my thoughts on it. Thematic ties and the feeling here. The game feels a little bit generic. The fantasy feels a little bit generic. It's sort of like everything, You've got tones of The Hobbit here with tones of, demonic characters a la sort of Legend, the movie, You got all that stuff mixed in there. So it's a little generic, but the feeling of working together, the thematic ties, not just the setting, is very strong. The game definitely has the players work together. You are going to have tons of moments where players discuss and coordinate and set up a specific attack or a specific chain of events to get out of a jam. I like that feeling a lot. The aesthetics here are stellar. The game looks beautiful, artwork is fantastic, but production quality is through the roof as well. Everything just looks beautiful on the table. The iconography is really well done. They've put a lot of love into this, and it shows. The game is just stellarly produced, like I said. Replayability is pretty good. This is the one that I think I have the sort of the little ding against it, right? And that is not because there's not a lot of content in the box. There is. You've got 8 characters now, 8 player characters, with distinct and really interesting powers to them. So every game, both based on that and the fact that the cards, the baddies, are going to come out in a different order, is going to be very distinct. It's mainly because I lump scalability into this as well. and I don't think it scales as well. I think the one-player game is very punishing. It's hard to play that and not feel completely overwhelmed and destroyed. Whereas with 4, it feels a lot more interesting. And you've got, of course, the cooperation at the table, but it's also easier to triumph and do well. Game length, it's short and punchy. It's about 45 minutes. It really brings something to the table when it comes to that. I like co-op games that pack a lot in 45 minutes, and this is one of them. Ease of play. Like I said, great iconography, great player aids. The rule book is very clear. Everything is really well done. There's even a separate leaflet with all the icons on the players' powers, the board, the monsters icons, that you can pass that around, so that's great as well. And then finally, tactics and strategy and luck, all those things. The game certainly has some luck. There is going to be luck here. But what I like about it, I've always liked my cooperative games that have some luck. That doesn't bother me. You need some force that you cannot control pushing against you. What I like about it is that in this game, it usually feels like there's something particularly clever you can do to get out of danger, or to at least postpone that danger, right? I like that feeling. I like seeing bad things happen and then going, I can solve this. We can do this. I can, put this out here and shuffle these 2 baddies around and then do that, and then boom, we get out of it. Or at least, we can push the badness till your turn. That sort of thing. So I like that very much. Now, before I give you my bottom line here, let me talk a little bit about differences between this and Ghost Stories. My biggest ding, like I said, is I think this is not as good solitaire. I thought Ghost Stories was an excellent solitaire game. In that game, you've still got all 4 player powers at the table, out of possible 8 as well, but they were a little more samey than in this. But you have access to them. Even as a solitaire player, you have access to those powers to a limited degree. In this one, you do not. It's just you're fighting against fewer monsters, but it feels much more punishing that way. So there is that. Thematic, I liked the other game better. I like that theme's a little more interesting. The aesthetics, yeah, they're both beautiful. This is really solid. Replayability, like I said, it's about the same except for the scalability. Game length, this is supposed to be a little bit shorter. So that's good. I trimmed the deck a little bit. And then the ease of play, yes, this is easier. I never had a big issue with the original Ghost Stories rulebook. I know that's a thing. A lot of people say, oh, that rulebook was a mess. I never found that to be true, but there's no denying this is clearer and a cleaner design. It's just a little simpler. They've found a way to streamline some things here than the original were not streamlined. So there you go. Bottom line, yeah, let's do it. A wonderfully produced game with clever rules that packs a punch but feels punishing, particularly when you're playing solitaire. This is still going to get a 9 out of 10 from me. It's wonderful, but there are things I'm still, a little raw about when it comes to this one. I like it just about as much as the original one, but I think Ghost Stories edges it out for me because I like that solitaire game a little more than I do in this one. But I cannot deny this is a superb, superb package. Definitely recommend it, especially if you've never played Ghost Stories, no question. You like co-ops? You've got to get Last Bastion. You are going to really get a kick out of this. Just come in prepared for a pretty punishing game. It's going to be a learning curve here. It's going to be hard, and definitely try with 4 players first. Start there. That's the way to go with this one. So there you go, Last Bastions. That's going to get a seal of excellence from me. Really great stuff, if difficult. Recommend it. So there you go. That's it from me, everybody. I am Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.